Mathis, the Kid Owahdi, saves the safety pass and turns in the fastest time of the night.
Welcome back to another edition of Running with James. Today we're doing a training talk. It's just all about talking about training, whether it's running, whether it's working out, fitness, Ninja Warrior. Today we're joined with American Ninja Warrior All-Star. This guy has become like, I don't know, like you're like the most famous ninja of all time now, right? No? Okay, my bad. So, but he's done a great job. So this is the Kid. That's what we call him. I'm not sure how much longer we're gonna be able to call him that because he's not really much of a kid anymore, but this guy's amazing. I've known him for a little while, and so today I wanted us to kind of sit back and just kind of talk about training. And so what I've kind of learned over the years is that, you know, the key to, you know, doing your best or becoming the best athlete you can is, you know, kind of taking the good things from, you know, all the different training techniques, whether it's gymnastics, whether it's running, whether it's, you know, weightlifting, CrossFit, HIIT training, whatever you want to call it, whatever, it's just all of it is all about being the best athlete you can be. And so the more flexible you are, you know, the better your cardiorespiratory system is, all those things connected just help you be more fit, healthier, and happier, right? And you can do so many, a myriad of different things. So today I just wanted us to kind of talk. We sit around and talk all the time about training, right? So right now, you're training right now for something, right? What are you training for right now?
Training for season 12, American Ninja Warrior.
Season 12, American Ninja. So this is the third year you've done it?
The actual show, yeah.
Okay, so you've been on Ninja Warrior a couple times, right? So your first show was the, what was it, college or?
College Madness.
College Madness, okay, and so this guy killed it so much that they decided, you know what, let's just go ahead and change the rules for American Ninja Warrior and let children be on the show,
now
right?
They got 15-year-olds, 16.
I saw that. That's new for this year, right? So he started it all. So, so he came on first year and pretty much just like blew everybody away with his performance. And so he's been training now for what? How long?
What, I started when I was like 12? 9 years? No, 8 years? Something like that.
Okay,
Right.
so 8 or 9 years. So when some of you guys may know this, some of you may not know this, but I don't just run all the time, okay? And I think he thinks that that's all I do, right? And that's what everybody thinks I do, right? But I actually kind of got my start with, you know, really exploring new things with American Ninja Warrior, right? So when I first met him, he was
A youngin'.
A very youngin', like 12 youngin', I'm serious, right? And I think that was the first year I actually competed on the show, American Ninja Warrior. So he used to look up to me, you know, he would walk into the gym and was like, oh my goodness.
I was still taller than you at the time, it was kind of weird.
No, that's not actually true. He was like yay high, okay? So, you know, we were, you know, a lot of us guys were in there training, we were getting ready, and we were doing American Ninja Warrior. So, you know, we did it for a few years, and finally he got old enough to do it. So it's really cool to see, you know, how, you know, our training, how we develop, how we worked, how we can kind of pass that on to the next generation. Now he's doing kind of the same thing. You know, people are looking up to him and asking him for his tips and techniques and stuff. So, so that's really what we want to do today is we just want to sit back, relax. We're going to try not to take up too much time, but we're just going to kind of talk about fitness in general, working out, exercising, and just being the best overall athlete we can be. Yeah. Sound good? All right, guys, so I think it's always a great idea to kind of start, when we talk about training in general, is kind of, you know, like talking about background, right? So one thing he and I always talk about, and we actually were having a conversation while we were eating lunch earlier, you know, about, you know, guys who come into like Ninja Warrior specifically, yeah. Right? And, you know, they see the show and they're like,
oh, I could do it, it's easy.
I can do that, right? And so, you know, they find a ninja gym or they find a place, they start training, right? And what do we normally see? They just go
overtrain and just like get injured and
yeah,
like, get very demoralized and just stop.
Yeah, so they normally go too hard, too quick, end up getting hurt, and then they have to, you know, they have to take a break for an extended period of time.
I think it's very easy to do that because it's something so new, it's so fun.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I just want to get in the gym and like try, because to me, I've done all these obstacles, so like I don't want to spam them any more than I already have. But to somebody who's never done the salmon ladder, never done the cliffhanger, never done like all these new things. They just want to try everything at once, and
Yeah.
then they end up getting hurt because they're doing way too much.
Right. And I think a lot of times that's how we kind of take life in general, right? Or take things on in life, is that we get excited about it and then we just like gung-ho into it. We don't really get like a great plan, or we don't really have like even a good foundation, right? So one of the things we talk about is, one of the first things we need to understand when we're starting any new training regimen is, what's our fitness history, right? Or what's our background? Do we have, if you're gonna start to run, right? Have you ran a mile or two before, right? So if you've never ran a mile in your life, you probably don't want to try to go out and run 10 miles, right? If you haven't, if you don't have time on legs, or you don't have a decent aerobic system, well, you've got to take some time, right, to develop it, right, to ramp up, right? If you've never lifted weights before, right, or you've never lifted more than 20 pounds, you shouldn't probably go into the gym and try to deadlift 200 pounds, right? Because all you're asking for is injury, right? So, one of the first things that we always talk about, because he has a new, kind of training cycle he's got, right? So you're competing in April, May, when is it?
Like 3 months. Probably.
Yeah, 3 months from now or so. So it's for us, it's a good training block, right? So we like to do around 16 to 12 week training blocks. And so we build, right, from the beginning, right, kind of everything pointing toward whatever the goal is, right? And so what's crazy is, or what's really kind of cool is, it doesn't matter whether you're running or whether you're competing on Ninja Warrior, or you're doing obstacle course racing, or, you're trying to be a great CrossFit, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. It's all the same philosophy, really, right? So you develop a great foundation, you build upon that, and then you start doing more event-specific activities, right? That's what we always talk about. So
it's funny because I can take a lot, like you'll look at videos and I'll study a lot of other sports like boxing, MMA, like baseball, basketball, and I can take stuff that they talk about and apply towards myself.
Yeah, for sure.
Because what you just said, like everything is interchangeable pretty much. Obviously when they talk about like specific form stuff, like shooting a basketball or throwing a punch, I don't really care too much. But all the other stuff is still relevant.
Right, and that's even still relevant. It's just relevant, like efficiency, right? Form for your particular sport, right? So, I've done Ninja Warrior before, really enjoyed it, and for quite a bit of time, like that was my main focus. That's what I love doing it, and mainly, like, and that's one of the things we talk about. It wasn't about like going to the gym and trying to learn how to do a muscle up, or trying to, stay on a bar for 45 minutes. It was really more about the community aspect, right? That's really what we enjoyed about it and what we were drawn to. And so, like, for me, running now is a big deal, and that's mainly just because of what I've gained from running. But still, one of the things, the thing that I love most about running an OCR, obstacle course racing, is that community, right? Because it helps you, it guides you, it kind of keeps you up when you're feeling down, keeps you disciplined. So, so number one, we got to always remember that when you're starting some kind of training where you want to do something, it's good to understand where your background is, right? So you can understand really where your start point is, right?
And I didn't have, like, when I started, I had no background. I mean, I did like a few sports here and there, but I was trying to learn parkour. I didn't even know what Ninja was. I was like, you guys got parkour? No, Ninja, that's kind of close. But yeah, no, it took me a long time. I remember when, like, the bars at the gym, like the 3-foot bars or 4-foot bars. That was the shape for that was terrifying me for like 2 years. Now, like, that's like nothing, but like before, it took me 2 years to like get over that fear. Even like the salmon ladder used to scare me. It's like all these big moves, but then you do them for so long, it becomes easy. Right.
So, and so that's a great segue into really the second thing when you're developing, some sort of, fitness or training regimen, is learning that it's not about like, let's accomplish everything today, right? So one workout today is not going to get you where you want to be, right? It's consistency, right? It's commitment. It's like kind of that long haul type situation. So, one of the things that I found is the work that I do today, right? Or the lifting I do today, the pull-ups I do today, or the running, the miles I put in today, don't actually benefit me for a few weeks, right? And so if I consistently build upon that, right? Well, then in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be way stronger, than I am today. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for your body to actually adapt to any particular type of processes, right? So it's okay if you kind of stick to a particular training regimen, right? Whether it's, all right, I want to learn how to do 10 pull-ups, right? So, week one, maybe you start with trying to, do some sort of progression, right? Whether it's, doing, assisted pull-ups with a band or on the ground, jump pull-ups, whether you're maybe doing kind of a, using like the TRX bands and kind of doing a, like a Russian row or like a Bulgarian row or something like that. And then each week you kind of increase the intensity, not a lot, right? So almost like when we talk about running, guys, we always talk about the 10% rule. Well, that same thing can be applied, and he's applying the exact same rule, right now. So, for him, some of the issues he's had, right? So some of the things we're trying to work on this year is, really kind of take his weaknesses and turn them into strengths.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So like he's had some issues with his knee. What else? Like some finger issues, right? Jammed his thumb.
Those are just like injuries. I think the main problem is that, because those are injuries that like kind of you're unavoidable in essence.
Yeah.
Like jammed thumbs happen.
It's gonna happen, right?
But one thing that I do think I had a big problem with overtraining, and like I think you like kind of have the same problem too. Everybody at that time from like that area of iron sports was like overtraining. It's like, oh, you gotta go hard every day. But now I'm starting to understand that the more, and there's a really good like interview with Joe Rogan and this other guy who talks about it, but he's talking about putting in like more work over time than just putting in like a ton of work one day and then being blasted for the next 2 days and you can't do anything. So I think that's a very big thing that right now I'm learning. And like, because like, so my training block right now is pretty simple, right? It's like an hour and a half in the gym, maybe if I'm over there. And just this Monday, I told you I overtrained, and like for the first time yesterday, I didn't feel like going to the gym because I overtrained on Monday. I was like, man, I'm blasted, I don't want to do it. But before that, I was very consistent. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch it an hour, I'm out of here. And every day I was like, oh yeah, I'll go to the gym. Like yesterday was fine, it was great.
Right.
But like, yeah, overtraining is definitely like a big thing. You can, like, not training like is not good for you, but overtraining can be worse in essence.
Right. Because most injuries come from two things: either a muscular imbalance of some sort, right? So one set of muscles is stronger than the other, or from overuse, right? So overuse injuries are probably the most pronounced that are out there. So, you know, understanding that, you know, we mentioned it kind of a little bit earlier today, or in our talk, but understanding that I'm not in this for my gains tomorrow, right? We're always, you see the posts all the time, right? On social media is gains, right? Well, you know, you are going to, if you're consistent, right? And you put in good, consistent work, and you constantly are building on the foundation that you put in the gym, or, you know, on the roads, wherever it may be, then what you're going to see is you're going to see consistent results, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we see people all the time, you know, I talk to as a trainer, you know, as a coach, I see people who have plateaued in their life, right? They're like, I just can't get any faster, I can't get any skinnier, I can't lose any more weight, whatever it may be. And usually the reason is because either overtraining, right? Or trying to do the same thing over and over again, trying to get like a different result. So, you know, that's a great point in that, you know, consistent training, right? So that's why when we talk about building our mileage, right? We do the 10% rule, we increase slightly, you know, every single week, and we run those easy miles, right? So we talk about this, we talk about this all the time, because that used to be our philosophy, is that when you went to the gym, right, or you went to go do some kind of workout,
it should be done. Like,
if you were not dead by the end of the workout, then you didn't work out, you know? And like he said, I was injured all the time. I basically just went from one injury to the next, whether it was my shoulder, my bicep, you know, whether it was my Achilles, whether it was my hip, knee, whatever it may be, I was just basically constantly working around injuries.
It's hard to break that mindset, like, because I still haven't broken it, because obviously, like, I trained with Mike a lot, and he's very, like, for that mindset.
Yeah, another ninja.
But it's like, it's hard because you like, leaving the gym still feeling I have like energy in me. It's like, I got more, like, let me go finish, like, empty the tank and then go home, but then I have nothing the next day. So it's weird.
So it's all about that ability to consistently put in good efforts, right? And that doesn't mean that every effort has to be hard, right? Now there do need to be some hard efforts in there, right?
No, for sure. You need to feel the intensity once in a while,
right?
But it's not. It should be like maybe 20% of your training, or even less. Like, it should be that intensity.
Right. So once again, right? So remember the 10% rule. There's the 80-20 rule, right? So 80% of your efforts, whether they're running, training, you know, lifting, whatever, should be easier efforts, right? Shorter time, maybe more endurance style, cardiorespiratory, aerobic style efforts, and then you have that 20%, right, where you go hard, right? But those efforts and those workouts should probably be shorter, right? Because you're putting in more effort, and you want to be able to the next day come back and you know, do something again.
I think another thing we should talk about, because for a long time I thought rest days were just like, oh, do whatever I want, like play video games, chill, do nothing. But now I'm understanding, like, on my rest days I usually do cardio actually, and I do like a good 30 minutes of like warming up, and I'll go through a warm up routine, like I'll stretch a little bit, and then I'll like do my cardio. And that's a rest day for me. Some people think rest day means I do nothing.
Right, you sleep.
Like, it's like, you need to like understand like active rest days in essence.
Right. Yeah, and so that's a great point too, you know, with the active rest. You know, when I got my certification for my running certification, my run coaching certification, there was a young lady that was in the class, and she was talking about, she was like, I guess, a triathlete coach, right? So she's training people to do triathlon, and, you know, they were kind of, I guess they didn't really necessarily agree on the actual training, like, processes that they both had two different philosophies, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, he was saying, okay, what's the training week look like for you? And she's like, da-da-da-da-da, and then I give him a day off. And he's like, well, what's a day off? And I love the way he put it. He put it really succinctly, and it was awesome. And she's like, well, a full day off. He's like, well, what's a full day? Is it 12 hours? Is it 24 hours? And she's like, well, a full 24 hours. He's like, okay. Well, let's say you run at 9 a.m. in the morning, right? And you've got the entire day, you go to work, you do whatever, then you go to sleep. And then you don't run again until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon the next day, right? Well, is that a full day even though you've trained on Monday and Tuesday, right? Because there was actually more like 30 hours, not 24 hours between their training session, right? And so understanding that, you know, you can work, you can train, both of us train every single day, right? But some of those days are recovery days, right? And we use active recovery, whether it's, you know, doing stretching or like he said, like his cardio day, right? So like for some people now, understand, right? It once again goes back to that foundation, right? Or your history. For some folks, 20 minutes on a bike or 20 minutes on,
that's all you need.
You know, that may be like an intense effort for you, right? So you may not be at the place where 20 minutes, you know, like for me, I go out for a 4-mile run. That's my recovery work, right? I'll do some drills, I do some strides. That's a recovery day. Well, for some folks, that's a hard workout, right? And so understanding where you're at and understanding, okay, what can be active recovery? Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get blood circulating, right? You want to get that blood flowing to flush out the lactate in your body, right? We're laughing because there was a conversation the other day, right? So we won't tell you, but it'll take too long. So, but it was funny. So Mike, if you're watching this,
understand the difference between lactate and lactose.
It's two different things, right? So the waste in your body that builds up, that causes that burn, right? And causes that soreness. And so if you can increase blood circulation, if you get that blood circulating, well, it's going to flush all that waste material out, and it's going to allow you to, you know, feel better, right? Not feel as sore. And the more consistent you are with that, the better you're going to get at processing that oxygen and processing, excuse me, that blood throughout your body.
So what's your take on, because so like last night, right? Like, it was around 7 o'clock and I hadn't trained. I still didn't do my recovery and cardio work. And I got home and I just didn't feel like doing it. I was like, man, I'm just not going to do anything today. I'll use it as a rest day. And I was trying to use that excuse, like, oh, today's a rest day, I'll just do nothing. But then I took a nap, felt better, went to the gym, but I did not want to go. But the reason I still went is because I think it goes to like mentally. I think there's a certain like level of like willpower you have within a day, and if you use all that, like it's gone. But how do you? Because I beat myself up hard. Like if I know I'm supposed to do something someday, like yesterday, and then like I end up not doing it, I feel like, you know, for lack of a better word, like a POS, just like really bad, and I beat myself up over it, and so I end up going to the gym because of that. But like I feel like there's times where, you know, if you're sick, or if like you just really don't have it in you, maybe it's better to not go to the gym. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, I'm just trying to...
No, I mean, for sure. So that's a couple different things to talk about. So first off, if you're feeling sick, right? And there's different kinds of sick, right? So there's those sick where you got kind of get the sniffles, right? Maybe you don't, you know, you don't feel 100%, or maybe it's allergies or something like that, right? And that I'm training, right? I'm doing what I need to do, right? For sure. But if you've got a fever, you know, or your body's like, you know, definitely like down, right? Actually, this past week, right, I was supposed to get in like 60 miles, right? Because I'm building toward my mileage for, you know, the Boston qualifier that I'm working on. And like on Thursday, I got sick, like headache, like I was coughing. I mean, and my body was drained, right? And I needed to do a 3-mile run. Well, I didn't do the run, right? Because it actually would have hurt me.
Take longer to recover from the sickness.
Exactly, right? Because your body is working to heal itself, right? And so really what you need is rest, right? So I didn't run Friday. I didn't do my long run on Saturday, and then I started feeling better on Sunday, but I didn't want to take a chance. I just went and took Sunday off, right? And so, you know, I gave my body the chance to recover itself, right? And then what did I do? I got right back on it. Right? So there's nothing wrong with taking a day off. There's nothing wrong when you have to listen to your body, for sure.
It comes down to like, because you can physically overtrain, but I also think you can mentally overtrain.
Sure.
Just like drain yourself to a point where like you have no more motivation and you have no more energy.
And when that happens, right? And a lot of times, you have to kind of look at, you know, what's your lifestyle like, right? Are you eating well? Are you getting enough sleep, right? And so a lot of times what we do is we kind of sabotage ourselves in that we don't put the right nutrients, the right fuel, because that's all food really is for us, is, you know, it's fuel for our body: calories, proteins, carbs, fats, all the good stuff. And so if we're not getting the right amounts of those in our body, well, then our body's going to feel it. Well, on the other side of that, sleep is probably one of the most important like training aids that we have, because that's our body's time to recuperate.
It's no. Sleep is when you get strong. You actually make yourself weaker when you're in the gym. You're breaking everything down.
Exactly. So, you know, making sure you're getting plenty of rest. And this is really difficult for us today, right, in our culture today. So people, you know, I talked to somebody the other day, and they're like, yeah, I average around 4 to 6 hours of sleep. I'm like, how do you survive off of 4 to 6 hours of sleep, right?
I need a solid 10 hours to function.
Yeah. So it's funny. I mean, this guy, yeah, that's true. So he needs his beauty sleep. So, you know, one of the last things I kind of wanted to kind of bring up was the training pyramid, right? And we've kind of touched on it a little bit. You know, kind of in some of the things we've said. And so the training period is pyramid is probably one of my favorite things to go to because it really, you know, helps to give you a great visual image of what training should look like, right? And so we've talked about this as the greater the foundation of your pyramid, well, the higher the peak can go, right? So if you've got a little bitty foundation, right? So for running, for example, if you've got, say, 100 miles of a foundation, right? Well, that's gonna drastically reduce, you know, how fast you can eventually go or how far you can eventually go, right? If you have 1,000 miles, right, well, that greatly increases your foundation, which thus also increases your peak so you can go faster. So, you know, that's one of the things we talked about for this year, right? So, you know, kind of specifically talking about the things he struggled with is, you know, if he wants to take that next step, which he definitely does, he has these goals he set for himself, right? Well, he's gonna have to work on some of those things that have kind of kept him from getting there, right? So mobility is one of those things. Being injury-free, right, is one of those things.
I'm injured every season I've competed. Like, I'm always injured.
Every single season, right? And what's crazy is he does great. He normally does really well, no matter what, right? But then there's a point in the competition, right, where eventually that injury, right, or that fatigue sets in, and you start doubting yourself.
Yeah, and I think a big like game plan is like, okay, like a foundation to be injury free, but another huge thing which we won't get into in this video, it's another whole video probably by itself. But it's like the mental side of training. It's like huge. It's like a lot of like pro athletes talk about it and they quote it, and they're like physically, like competing and like being an athlete is 80% mental, like 20% physical.
Yeah.
Your body, like your mind controls your body, right? So if you're mentally not there, if you mentally like think you're gonna fail and stuff like that, you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
So it's just like mental training is huge, and I've been doing a lot of that lately.
Yeah. And I think honestly, you know, for me anyway, when I'm training in the gym, right, or training with someone, right, that really helps me build that mental strength and that tenacity, right? So, you know, I have people all the time that, you know, I'll give them workouts to do, and they're like, man, that was really tough. And most of that workout I gave them had nothing to do really, or that much to do with, you know, getting them in shape as much as I wanted them to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And if you can do that, well, then it changes your performance when, you know, whenever the event comes. So, you know, here's how I want you to think about it, right? Wherever it's a race, right? Whether it's an event, no matter what it is, that is the reward, right? So when you go and you get on that course and the lights are going, the whole point of being able is to enjoy it, right? To go out there, have a great time, you know, and it's the reward for all the effort you put in for the last 12 weeks, 16 weeks.
I think a good way to put it is like pretty much like me trying to like win Ninja Warrior or compete on Ninja Warrior. All like the hard work is like the training blocks, like the eating, the like, you know, getting the right amount of sleep, the training, you know, being focused, like doing the mental exercises, doing everything I need to do. When I step out on the course, like in my mindset, like the outcome's gonna take care of itself. I've done everything I can to like prepare myself for this moment. At the end of the day, like if I fall on the first obstacle, it can happen. Sure. And I know that I've, you know, as long as I know that I've put everything I can to, you know, set myself up for success, then I'm okay with that happening. It's just, it happens. Yeah.
So that kind of brings us to, you know, kind of how we want to close this out is, you know, we want to set goals, right? We want to do things that are going to like, you know, that we got to climb for, we got to reach for, right? Yeah. But whatever those goals are, they need to be SMART goals, right? We talk about that all the time. And that's basically an acronym, right? For specific, measurable, attainable, what's the R? Relevant, right? And then time sensitive, right?
So I think the easiest way to explain it is giving like an easy example. So say like you can do 5 pull-ups, right? That's your absolute max. So setting a SMART goal would be saying like, okay, I want to do 10 pull-ups by, I don't know, give yourself a month maybe, right? So that's the time, right? Say you're a ninja, right? Pull-ups is pretty important. You want that upper body strength. That makes it relevant. Yep. It's achievable. Like it's definitely achievable. You could already do 5, and within a month, that's also measurable, 5 to 10. Right. And then it's very specific. It's I want to do 10 pull-ups within 5. So that's kind of how you have to like basically like kind of like pick something and then you see if it kind of marks out the checklist. Right. And if you do that, well, it'll help you stay focused, right? It'll help give you a plan, right? Because without a plan,
You know, you have no earthly idea where you're going, right? And then it gives you a way to measure how well you're doing, right? Or keep track of how well or how,
and that'll
how
give
much more
you
effort you need to put in.
Another reason goals are important is because if you're just working out all the time, you don't have goals, and you only get that sense of achievement when you get to do that one thing like once a year. Like we compete on Ninja pretty much once a year.
Yeah, it's just one shot.
Yeah, but if you don't set those goals, you don't get that little boost of like, oh, I achieved this goal. That kind of gives you a boost of motivation, a boost of like desire, kind of like relights the fire inside of you.
Yeah.
So if you don't do that, you know you'll get drained a lot easier than if you do set goals and achieve those goals and get that little boost of energy.
Right. And I mean, here's the deal. This is what probably the biggest thing that I've learned, you know, throughout my life is make it a part of your life, right? It's a part of your life. So fall in love with the training, fall in love with the process, right? So for Ninja Warrior, these guys only get one shot out of 12 months, right? Now the season goes on for a few months, but you know, if you fall on day one, it's over, right? So you've worked for how long? Now, this is not anything negative against any in particular people like ninjas or anything like that, but in my experience, most ninjas start training a month or two before the competition is supposed to go down, right? Not to say that that's, you know, that they're horrible people for doing that.
Then there's people who are the polar opposite, who are like going
all the time
to the wall year round.
Year round, right? And they're hurt a lot, right? So you want to find it where make it part of your life, make it enjoyable, but you need to kind of get into some other things that help support that, right? And so if you're a runner and all you do is run, well, hey, I hope you enjoy running, but if you want to stay injury free, you probably need to add some stretching or yoga, you know, strength training, specifically core strength training, leg training, glute training, things of that nature to help you be, because that is going to help you be a better runner, right? And so that's what we talk about all the time is what's going to help support and be relevant, right? What's going to help support my ultimate goal to help me be the best version of myself, right? And so I encourage you guys, you know, it's all about learning, right? He's reading this book right now he was telling me about, and he what was the thing about the goals you were saying? Like if it's a goal, if it's not something or something like that?
The time thing?
Yeah.
Pretty much like the time part in the SMART goal is pretty much anytime you have a goal without a time, it's a dream, right? So me saying I want to win Ninja Warrior, that's a dream of mine. But if I say I want to win Ninja Warrior 2020 or like set a time frame, that becomes a goal.
Right. So the worst thing that I hear all the time from people is someday I'm going to do this, or someday I want to do this. Quite often someday usually turns into never, right? So make it a goal, put some of those measurables on there, right? Get a great community around you. If you do that, I guarantee you're gonna see some awesome results. You're gonna be able to do things you never thought possible. So thanks for coming in today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you click that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. Be on the lookout for this guy, American Ninja Warrior. He's gonna be winning this thing really quick. I'm trying to get this money off this guy. It's $1 million he wins. I'm still working on the contract, right? On how much I get. I'm not talking about Uncle Sam, I'm talking about Uncle James, all right? So thanks for coming in today, guys. Subscribe to the channel, share us with the people that you love, and remember, if you change your mind, you can change your life. Thanks for coming in, guys. We're out. Peace.